So in my opinion, I would say that 9 out of 10 skaters have ugly backside 180s. Backside 180 is a fairly basic trick, but tons of skaters, as they get better, still do this trick like a beginner. So today I'm gonna show you what I think is an ugly backside 180 and what is a proper backside 180. And then I wanna show you the different techniques involved with each so you can start transitioning from having an ugly backside 180 to getting a proper backside 180 like the pros. Real quick though, I'm looking crazy, just woke up. So I got some of the new Friday merch. I'll throw this on real quick. Super nice embroidery and goes with the hat. So let's do a quick fit check. Super stoked on how these came out, especially right here, the little embroidery tag by the bottom left corner by the pocket. Anyways, these will be available on November 17th, just in time for Christmas. So with the product placement out of the way, let's move on to fixing your ugly back 180s. So as always, I will have a more in-depth video on my Patreon. In this video, we're gonna cover the differences in the techniques between ugly backside 180 and the proper backside 180, so you guys can know the differences and start practicing. On the Patreon, I'm actually gonna give a list of drills to help you work through it. Obviously, you can do it on your own, but I think the drills in that video are gonna make it click way easier and way faster. So if you do wanna check that out, I do have a free trial link in the description. Okay, so what is an ugly backside 180 and what is a proper backside 180, and what are the differences between the two? So an ugly backside 180 is essentially the rocket version of an ollie, but a back 180. So we all know what a rocket ollie looks like, and you go to ollie and your front foot stays higher than your back foot the entire time. So the trajectory of your board is pointed up towards the sky like a rocket, right? That's why we call it a rocket ollie. And what's weird about this style of backside 180 is so many skateboarders, as they get better, learn how to level out their ollies and like even tweak and dip their ollies. But then you go and watch them do a backside 180 and it's fully rocket. Like they went from doing a pretty advanced looking ollie to a very basic looking backside 180. And that's what we're trying to fix in this video. So now if you look at a proper back 180, you'll notice how at the top of the back 180, the back foot is higher than the front foot. So with the ugly back 180, the front foot was higher, and with the proper back 180, at the peak of the jump, that back foot is higher. This means that the board is a little bit tweaked. Now, I completely understand why people don't learn how to do these kind of like tweaked backside 180s. It's because it is so unintuitive. Learning how to dip your ollies is pretty intuitive, but learning how to do that with a backside 180 rotation does take a few little like tips and tricks to figure out how to get your body to do that motion and get the backside 180 rotation around before your wheels touch the ground again. So with that being said, let's get into the differences in the technique between the ugly back 180 and the proper back 180, so you can start to figure out what you need to do differently to level up your back 180 and start doing that proper tweaked back 180 like the pros do. So the first key difference in the technique is with the ugly backside 180, the reason skaters are leaving their front foot higher than their back foot is because they're using their front foot to guide the back 180 around. So they're using their front foot to push the rotation all the way around backside 180. Whereas with a proper backside 180, it's the opposite. The back foot is pulling the rotation. And this is where things get a little bit complicated, because when you go to pop your board, your nose is right there and your front foot can start manipulating it and rotating it right away. So it's more intuitive to just start turning your back 180 with your front foot. And it takes way more control and a completely different timing to be able to pull the back 180 around with your back foot. So here's the big difference with the timing that's gonna allow you to unlock a proper backside 180. So rather than popping and trying to turn your backside 180 with your front foot, what you need to do is ollie, get your board tweaked into a position where then your back foot has leverage to pull the board around. So what this means is you need to finish your ollie as your body is still moving up. So before the peak of your ollie, you need to finish and get that tweak, get your back foot higher than your front foot as you're still lifting your body up into the air. So then at the peak of your ollie, where your board starts to push against your foot as your body starts to stop and come down, at that moment where you have so much connection and friction with your board, that's where your back foot pulls the board around. So if you're thinking about trying to learn this kind of back 180, you need to first start by practicing practicing just ollieing and getting your board leveled out before you've reached the max height of your jump. Then when you start to combine that with winding up your shoulders and turning your body backside, that's when you'll start to feel the leverage to be able to pull the board around with your back foot. One good way to think about this is to think about it like ollie late backside 180. So it's like you're trying to ollie and then 180 rather than trying to 180 from the very beginning of the jump. So your shoulders may rotate, but your board kind of stays straight as you're going up. So you're floating and your shoulders are rotating just like normal, but your board is kind of staying straight like an ollie until it reaches that dip. And since your shoulders are already turned, then it's just a matter of your back foot pulling it around, doing that late backside 180. Now there is one secret and one tip that will help you do this a lot easier, and it's a tip that was given to me by Raisa
on course.
Wow, now that was a smooth, now that was a smooth.
If you don't know who she is like the #1 female skater in the world right now. But what she told me to do was basically ollie and dip your ollie at an angle. So rather than like ollieing straight and then trying to pull it around with your back foot, you kind of like ollie crooked and tweak it out so that your back foot's higher, your front foot's lower, but you're like dipped at an angle. And then at that angle, that gives you more momentum and more leverage for your back foot to then finish the backside 180. So it's kind of like a tweaked backside 180 ollie on the way up. So that way your back foot can then do the late backside 180 on the way down to the ground. So now you know the difference between an ugly backside 180 and a proper backside 180. And you can go out and start practicing that technique of ollieing up and then pulling it around with your back foot. Obviously it is easier said than done. So I do have a full video full of drills that make it really easy to go from doing a rocket back 180 into doing a proper dipped back 180. It's really simple and intuitive, and that's going to be on my Patreon. So if you want to check that out, like I said, I will have a free link to a free trial of my Patreon so you guys can check out that video for free. As well, the new Friday drop is going to be coming on November 17th. The first 5 people that order are going to get tech decks in their order. Everybody that orders is going to get the chance to FaceTime with me if you send me like your order confirmation. So doing a bunch of like cool bonuses for people that support the brand and support the channel. So thank you everybody for watching. Remember to make every single day a Friday, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.